He was a man who had everything money could buy. A tall figure, always in a sharp suit, eyes cold but magnetic, and a presence that silenced rooms the moment he entered. His name was Zayn Malik, a billionaire whose empire stretched from real estate to luxury brands. People whispered about his wealth and power, but what no one really knew was that Zayn's heart was locked behind walls of gold and shadows of a painful past. One evening, after a long day of ruthless boardroom battles, Zayn sat alone in his penthouse, staring at the glittering skyline. He held 4 sleek, black unlimited credit cards in his hand. Each of them carried no limit, just endless power to spend. But Zayn wasn't thinking about numbers. He was thinking about people. Or rather, women. For women who had, in different ways, been a part of his life. None of them had his love, because Zayn didn't believe in love anymore, but each of them had his attention, whether they knew it or not. The first card was for Aisha, a rising fashion designer. She was beautiful, sharp, and ambitious. Zayn had invested in her brand and admired her drive. But deep down, he knew she admired his bank account more than him. The second was for Zara, an actress who glittered on screens but lived in insecurity. Zayn had seen her break down backstage once, vulnerable, stripped of her fame. She clung to him since then, always desperate for his approval, as though his validation could fill the cracks inside her. The third card was for Alina, a widow with a child. Zayn had met her at a charity gala. Unlike the others, she didn't chase him. She had dignity, she had strength, but she also had struggles. Something about her reminded him of the mother he had lost too soon. And the fourth card was for Sana, a socialite who was bold, loud, and unapologetic. She played games with people's hearts and loved to show off. For her, Zayn was just another prize to flaunt, but for him, she was entertainment. He gave each of them 1 card. No rules, no conditions, spend however you like. Their eyes lit up with shock and delight. 4 women, 4 cards, 4 different reactions. Aisha hugged him and whispered promises of loyalty. Zara cried, overwhelmed. Alina refused at first, saying she couldn't accept such generosity, but he insisted. Sana laughed and said, finally, you're treating me the way I deserve. But while the world was focused on the glamorous women holding unlimited cards, there was one woman who nobody noticed. Her name was Maryam. Maryam was his maid. A quiet, modest woman in her late 20s, she had been working in Zayn's mansion for years. She wore simple clothes, spoke little, and always kept her eyes lowered. She cleaned their messes, arranged their clothes, served their drinks, and disappeared like a shadow. Nobody remembered her face, not even the women who used Zayn's wealth. But Maryam saw everything. She saw how Aisha bragged about her new designer store opening with Zayn's money. She saw Zara wasting thousands on dresses she would wear once. She saw Sana throwing wild parties, splashing cash like water. And she saw Alina quietly paying school fees, clearing debts, and supporting widows like herself. Yet none of them ever thought about Zayn, the man behind the money. Maryam, however, noticed what no one else did. She saw the way Zayn sometimes sat in silence at night, his glass untouched, his eyes fixed on nothing. She saw how he tightened his jaw when people praised his wealth but never his heart. She saw the loneliness that money couldn't hide. One rainy night, Zayn returned home earlier than usual. His expensive shoes left trails of water on the marble floor. Maryam rushed to clean it before he could slip. But as she bent down, Zayn's voice stopped her. "Leave it," he said softly. She froze. He had never spoken to her like that. He usually gave orders, cold and clipped. This tone was different. He sat down on the couch, head resting against his hand. "Tell me, Maryam," he murmured, surprising himself with the question. "If I gave you a card like I gave them, what would you do with it?" Maryam looked up, startled. For a moment, she didn't know if he was joking. Then she answered honestly, I would return it, sir. Zion raised his eyebrows. Return it? Everyone else was eager to accept. Her voice trembled, but her eyes held truth. Because it's not mine to take. Money is powerful, but it can also be dangerous. I would rather earn what I use, even if it's small. At least then, I would sleep without guilt. Zion stared at her for a long time. Nobody had ever said something like that to him. Nobody dared. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, Miriam began to notice small changes. Zion asked her questions sometimes, about her life, her family. She told him little, but he learned that she had lost her father young, just like him. That she worked to support her younger siblings. That she never went to university, though she dreamed of studying literature. Meanwhile, the four women with unlimited cards were spiraling in their own ways. Aisha became obsessed with expanding her brand, ignoring everyone around her. Zara grew more insecure, drowning herself in luxury but still crying at night. Sanaa became reckless, and rumors began to spread about scandals at her parties. Only Alina used the card with grace, always giving more than she took. Zion saw all of it. And for the first time, he wondered, was he testing them? Or himself? Then one day, something happened that shook everything. Zion's company faced a sudden crisis. A massive investment deal collapsed, leaving his empire trembling. News headlines screamed of losses. His so-called friends vanished. The women with the unlimited cards reacted too. Aisha accused him of ruining her brand. Zara stopped answering his calls. Sanaa mocked him publicly, saying she always knew men like him were fragile. Only Alina reached out, offering help, saying she believed he would rise again. But her words, though kind, were still distant. It was Miriam who stayed. She didn't ask questions. She didn't offer pity. She simply continued doing her work, bringing him tea, tidying his desk, making sure he ate. One night, when she saw him sitting in darkness, she placed a book of poetry beside him. I thought you might like this, she whispered. He picked it up, surprised. It was old, its pages worn. Is this yours? Yes, she said. It's the only book I kept from my childhood. I thought it might comfort you. Zion opened the book and read a few lines. Something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, he felt warmth, not from money, not from admiration, but from something pure. Weeks later, the storm passed. Zion rebuilt what he lost, stronger than before. The world applauded his comeback. The four women tried to return too, calling, texting, pretending they had never doubted him. But Zion was no longer the same. One evening, he called them all together. The four women, dressed in luxury, walked into his mansion, expecting gifts or apologies. But instead, Zion placed the four unlimited cards on the table. These, he said calmly, are useless to me now. Because money can buy loyalty, but it cannot buy love. And none of you gave me love. The room fell silent. Aisha flushed with anger. Zara cried, begging him not to abandon her. Sanaa laughed bitterly and stormed out. Alina lowered her eyes, ashamed. Then Zion turned. Behind him stood Miriam, holding a tray of tea. He took the tray from her hands, set it aside, and said words that silenced everyone. But one person did something none of you expected. She gave me honesty, when everyone else gave me flattery. She gave me comfort, when I had nothing. She gave me more than money ever could. Miriam's eyes widened, her hands trembling. Zion looked at her with a softness the world had never seen in him. Miriam, I gave them unlimited cards. But you gave me back myself. And that is priceless. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had never imagined being seen, truly seen. The women